You know what? That's
I can.
it's really important in what you how you expressing this because it's important that we have black storytelling in Hollywood, right? And first of all, I want to give a shout out to all the sisters that are creators, producers, and writers because right now there's a major influx of black women in entertainment that's really in front and behind the camera. So bravo, to you all. But what you're kind of telling us right now is that, we need to see more of that in Hollywood, right? And I think to kind of go into more in depth regarding our current political environment, a lot of people that's not African American may not know a lot about our culture because they don't see a lot of us on film in certain situations. Let's be honest. Majority of the time, they may see us in a comedy, some tragic gang violent issue, slavery, right? But what about real scenarios that happen every day, right? That can mix in comedy, mix in the drama, mix in all those different aspects of the story so people can know that, hey, Myron Douglas is a regular guy. I don't have to fear him. And matter of fact, I know a little bit more about him due to me watching and understanding black cinema that it's been told by us and owned by us, right? So I think you're expressing something that a lot of writers and creators are going through right now: how to manage this, the messaging, how to manage the political environment, how to make sure we express, and that, like you said, that responsibility, right? Because sometimes a lot of our media companies, they may want to put something kind of cheesy together, like, hey, let's put this and this and this, and guess what? We're gonna make $1 billion movie,
Yeah.
Right.
not
They just put
knowing
a big
that.
name on it and put it in the theaters and without respect to the character. So, I think
Right.
particularly Asha, you talking about developing the characters and making them real is very meaningful. Very meaningful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely, I feel like it's not an option.
Right.
Like, it's better work. It's better, it's more fulfilling and satisfying to
Right.
make the work. And then yeah, I wish I'm glad to see the influx of more artists of color telling real stories and knowing that they have a responsibility as well. It's so refreshing and it's going to change things. It's going to help to usher in change. Everybody, in any industry has a responsibility to help usher in what we're trying to do right now as a country.
And
And then in a larger sense, just, uh,
yeah, and Asha, one question. I know, you gave a great intro about your beginnings and your origins and moving into the entertainment and writing and certain sitcoms. What would you tell a young or maybe an aspiring writer or producer if they want to get their writing out, their projects out? What would you tell them in words of encouragement and maybe one or two different things that work for you to get you where you're at right now?
um, I was just thinking about this. What would
This is your
tell.
auntie moment. This is your moment to be the auntie to somebody else. No message.
I okay. So one thing I would definitely tell any like artist, filmmaker, writer, creator, whichever, um, that you're gonna have to go at it alone at some point. There's gonna be you believing in your vision and only you, and you're gonna have to carry the torch by yourself at some points. But I also want to say that one of the keys to, I think, making it in this industry is finding your tribe. A lot of people say that. I don't think that that should be your focus. I think that your tribe can find you, um, when you are carrying your own torch. Um, but I think that the people that you surround yourself and then being able to carry your own torch are very important. People can drag you down. It doesn't matter if you're talented or if you're hardworking, whatever. You surround yourself with fools, and you're gonna get crazy stuff going on, and it's gonna drag you down. You surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do. You're gonna inevitably be closer to your goals. That's what I would say.
A question for you. When you're writing your characters and you're thinking about casting them, throughout the history of film with blackface being on film, there's always a controversy of lighter skin versus darker skin on film. And so when you're casting your characters and when you're identifying the actors who will play these parts, are you taking into account the tone, the hue in their skin color when you're making that decision? And how do you come about making that final decision for someone, knowing all the isms that's out there around featuring lighter skinned people versus darker skinned people on film?
Definitely. I do think about that, being a dark skinned woman myself and having always felt like that kind of framed a lot of things for me. For this actual series that I have right now, our main actress is a darker skinned woman, and our other actress is an Asian darker skinned woman. And I remember when I had my main actress and I was having people read for the second lead, I had the thought that I don't want, I have to be careful about the skin tone of the person that I cast, because I would never want my darker skin actress to look, to possibly look like the more aggressive character. And she is aggressive. She is like, not aggressive, that's not the word, she's passionate. But I know that putting a lighter skinned woman in an opposite her in an aggressive or a passionate or heated exchange can result in her automatically maybe somehow being framed as the bad guy. And I don't want that, I don't need that. So I do think about it. I have to think about it. And yeah, sometimes I feel like I have to, no, there's no way around that. I'm always aware of that. Yeah.
It's funny. So I'm glad Corey brought that up, because so my wife and I, we're creatives, and so we're constantly watching. When we watch films, we're watching for little details and the nuances in terms of the characters' relationships. So what you just brought up in terms of the angry black woman, the angry dark-skinned black woman trope, has been used a lot. And it is one of those things where not enough people are sensitive to that or care about it. And so, of course, you being conscious of it is very, very important within the work. But I also think that the beauty of it is also being able to show just a black woman who might be darker skinned, and it's not a thing. They just get to be. You know what I mean? And along those lines, something that I got to do on behalf of my wife, because she works on a project called Media Reparations. So this is where we're talking about policy, the culture, and the art of particularly journalism, but storytelling as a whole, and how these narratives have influenced policymaking. And then also it's influenced how it is that we socialize. And so to kind of give you an idea what media reparations means in terms of their approach, is making sure that we're holding media institutions. So just not news media, but also any institution that creates story or shares stories, where a person has the license to kind of draw it however they want to, and without any type of repercussion. And so one of the things that she is invested in is making sure that we're creating policy or encouraging policy with regards to how news media is being shaped, and who's in the newsrooms, and making sure that people of color are represented. But just as importantly, making sure that people are conscious of what's important in the writer's room for some of these films and television, understanding the harm that can be perpetrated and the harms that have already been perpetrated and how it has played out in our society, in how some people, their only experience is going to be what they see on TV or what they get in their news. So in essence, a lot of people's informal education is going to take place through media. And so if we know that, right, what are the things that we're doing, A, to repair the harms that have been done in the past, but B, making sure moving forward that we have the representation that we're supposed to have in the newsrooms, but also in the writers' rooms. How do you feel that you want to play a role in shifting the narrative and being a part of the media change moving forward?
Well, I've got to say I definitely watch television shows, commercials, and have moments every day where I'm like, there was nobody of color at the table. There was nobody in the room.
Right.
You could have run this by. This went by how many people, and you spent money, and you put this on television because there was nobody at the table, obviously. And I feel like I've been at companies, I've worked at larger studios where I've seen there's nobody at the table to say anything. People are just flying by with mess, and they're putting it straight on television, and there are consequences. And I feel like the first film that I worked on, The Leisure Class, it's like perfect. So many of the things that have happened in my life, I feel very like aligned, like it was just perfect for the person that I am and the person that I'm trying to become. That job, I got to see a Black woman, a producer, be the producer on set and how she works her set. And I got to see that everyone who was in a department head position was like the best among anybody. You could stand them up next to anybody. But most of them were people of color, and many of them were women. And so for me, that was normal because it was the first real set that I had been on. And I just got to see how people, the level, the work ethic. And so every set that I went to after that, when it wasn't like that, I was like, what is this? And no wonder, no wonder the content is not great. And one of the shows that I worked on in the last couple of years has gotten like a lot of acclaim for a show on HBO for having a young Black female central character. But there was no writer's room. And the creator of that series is an older white man. He's a middle-aged white man. And you have to ask yourself, you have to look at that. How responsible is that on the part of HBO, to give out all this money and have, no writer's room and have this white man telling a story for a little Black girl, surrounded by, groups who he, again, cannot speak for. That's irresponsible, I think. And it brings me to the idea that I keep thinking of, which is, I think someone mentioned blackface. It's like digital black. It's like blackface to watch that and to know that, like I said, I worked on that and there weren't many people of color, so to then see that person be rewarded. That's how these things keep happening. He was very rewarded and goes on to then create more Black films, these people cashing in on diversity, they're not Black films when they're not written and created by Black filmmakers. And we can tell, then it looks bad. And I carry that with me. And so, and like I said, seeing a Black woman who had to stand up to, was it Matt Damon and Ben Affleck on television and say, yes, you do have to cast behind the camera. Yes, we will have Black and brown people behind the camera. So I immediately knew from my very first job, this is how it's supposed to work. This is how it works best, you know? So when I sell, you know, my shows, and I feel like I will, when I do, and even now when I'm working on my short series and I'm working on my shorts and stuff, I make sure that I look where, you know, I look for the people make the excuse that they don't have access to Black filmmakers. They don't have access to Black hair and makeup artists. They don't have access to these positions, but they're not really going out and looking. And when I reach out to my community, to my Facebook groups, to friends, I say, bring me people, people come. And,
Right.
and I'm able to find, you know, people who are great, who are so talented and so hardworking, who are people of color and who are women. And my set is beautiful, and my work, our work comes out, you know, way better than any of these fake, you know, Black content. It's not real Black content. I have a thing about that. I feel shaking just talking about it. I don't like it.
And neither should we, right? I think that's something that, as an audience, part of our responsibility is to investigate that and speak up about it. And you know, the as an artist, you should not have to shoulder the burden to correct the sins of the past through your own work. But yet at the same time, the duality is feeling compelled because you're passionate about these ideas and wanting to make a difference. When in actuality, the white people need to do the work, and you should just be able to be an artist. Yet at the same time, it is what it is, right?
Right.
I don't want to occupy, you know, all the conversation here. So I want to turn it over to Myron or Corey if they got some other questions, because I could really go in on that part of it, but I want to save that for another time.
Yes, I do have a question in regards to your mini series. So can you tell us more about this mini series and where is that now and where you hope to see it in the next 6 months?
Currently we're shooting April 3rd, so we're in pre-production right now. And my goal is to sell that pilot, and we already have the scripts written. So my hope would be to produce that in the next 6 months. And I have recently started to see more series that are similar in terms of the short form and being picked up by bigger networks. And so I know that there's a market for it. And I've been told there's a market for it. And so I'm ready to shoot it come early April and sell it and finish shooting the rest of the episodes.